Okay, now this issue is as political as it gets, especially in this mayoral campaign. And our own Dominic Carter caught up with Bill de Blasio yesterday, said that Bloomberg and Kelly are fear-mongering on the stop and frisk issue. Dom?
Well, Bill de Blasio is the public advocate for New York City, but is giving up a, quote, safe seat, in other words, an easy re-election, to instead run for mayor. And right now, Andrew, things are not looking so good for de Blasio, though it is early. This as de Blasio is blasting Mayor Bloomberg for Bloomberg's comments on stop and frisk today and praising the city council for approving an inspector general for the NYPD. Did the council do the right thing? Or is the mayor right that this may cause confusion and you ultimately have judges deciding police department policy?
Mayor's absolutely wrong. The mayor and Commissioner Kelly have been fear-mongering on this issue. There's no other way of saying it. They've been suggesting that we can't have safety and good police-community relations at the same time. You know, the only way we're going to be safe for the long term is to fix the relationship between police and community. It's been really strained by the overuse of stop and frisk. So I'm thrilled that we finally have a racial profiling bill. We finally have an inspector general. I have to tell you, as this mayor's race has fought out, we've seen some real differences between the candidates. You know, Speaker Quinn voted against the racial profiling bill last night. Bill Thompson opposed the racial profiling bill and the inspector general. I think we need both of them, the inspector general bill, the racial profiling bill, and a new police commissioner, because we need someone who's going to be committed to fixing police-community relations.
Do you give Christine Quinn some credit for permitting this vote to come to the floor?
I don't think it was ever her right to not permit the vote. I don't think she had a right to not permit a vote on paid sick days for 3 years. I don't think she had a right to hold up a vote on inspector general and racial profiling bill for a year. And she voted against it. You know, the vast majority of the council members wanted to vote and wanted to vote for it. She stood in the way, and then when finally the bill came to the floor, she voted against racial profiling as a protection for people in this city. You know, so I think what she's saying is if she's elected mayor, she's not going to address some of these problems and some of these rifts we're having between police and community. And I believe the only way to be safe, the only way to have a unified city for the long term is to address these problems head on.
Are you concerned that Mayor Bloomberg may be able to pull off one or two of those council votes to block an override of this veto?
You can never rule out they might try and do it. I think clearly public opinion's on the side of making these changes and solving this problem and bringing police and community back together. So he may try. I don't think he'll succeed.
Last question. Are you concerned? I know you're going to tell me polls go up and down. That's what elected officials normally say. But a recent poll shows a three-way tie for first place, and you're not one of the candidates. It's between Christine Quinn, Anthony Weiner, and Bill Thompson.
I have said repeatedly that people are not engaged yet in this election. It's a long way until they focus, weeks and weeks away. I feel very good about the message that I've put out there about the changes we have to make in the city. We've gotten some tremendous endorsements. We have the resources. I feel good about where we stand.
Perhaps some good news to report for de Blasio. Howard Dean has endorsed de Blasio, the former Vermont governor and presidential contender. Dean also served as the chair of the Democratic National Committee. Now, Andrew, how did he do it? Yoo-haw! What was that? The way Dean did?
Yeah! The Dean scream
in Iowa when he basically ended his campaign.
Pretty much. Now, I'm curious because obviously de Blasio is trying to make political hay out of stop and frisk by separating himself from the views of the other candidates in the city council. A couple of quick numbers I want to show you. Back in April, Quinnipiac did a poll. 51% of New York voters disapprove of stop and frisk, 60% of New York Democrats. And the Inspector General, which was passed, 66% supported, 72% of New York City Democrats. Dominic, is this a winning issue for de Blasio? Is this enough to separate him from the other people running?
Well, de Blasio's got other problems. On the asset column, he has a Working Families Party behind him. That could take you very far. But right now, it's just not working for Mr. de Blasio, no matter what he says.
But could stop and frisk be a winning issue?
But all the Democrats are basically in line being against stop and frisk. They're trying to outdo each other in terms of being opposed to it, with John Liu leading the pack.
You agree with that analysis?
Working Families Party, he's their poster boy, but they haven't endorsed him yet. That's one of the challenges I think he's got, which is holding him back. And actually, I think that had he gotten that sooner,
But-
he could have made it would have put him up in the mid-teens.
But let's talk about stop and frisk. Because
no, but this
those,
goes to part
those
of it,
numbers, you
'cause-
would think it would be a winning issue for a Democrat who's
and
opposed to stop and frisk as vehemently as he is.
Winning issues means people vote on it that way. Don't forget, people are all about New York City being safe still. The one thing that he is showing by doing this, by fighting also for the paid sick days that he was doing before, taking shots at Quinn on that, is number one, he's the most liberal guy in this bunch right now. He's got the Schneiderman mentality right now, as far as I'm concerned, hoping to get the New York Times endorsement, hoping at the end of the day he squeaks into that runoff. He's fighting position number 2 right now. He doesn't know who number 1 is yet. His hope is if he's in the runoff, then the turnout in the runoff is even lower.
But Anthony Weiner ruined that for him.
Well,
in
no.
terms of number 2 for
What if,
runoff.
That's one of
no,
the
no. What if
problems,
Wiener's number 1 and de Blasio's number 2?
Well,
What if
but-
Quinn
but-
drops down below?
Because Thompson, Thompson comes in with the automatic base.
And I
of the
want to
African-American
get
community.
to the 2 polls that came out this
Yeah.
week. The Quinnipiac poll that came out later in the week. They have a couple of things in common, but I want you to look down in 4th place on this one. Bill de Blasio at 10%. Then let's go to the Marist poll, the one that had Anthony Weiner leading the race. There's Bill de Blasio in 4th place and 10%. So we got different results on these polls, but he's been stuck there this whole race. 4th place, 10%, or 3rd
what
place,
I
10%.
really don't understand, Andrew, if I were advising Mr. de Blasio, I would say, listen, you may not like the job of public advocate. It may be a stepping stone to being mayor of New York, but it's not your day, buddy. Stay here one more term and live to fight another day.
The petitions only have another week or 2 left at this point. He's beyond that.
Right.
That was weeks ago. The thing that I keep on saying about this race, I've said it here, I've said it to people outside this room, is that I always talk about being Quinn, Thompson, and Weiner. Not necessarily that order, it all gets shaken up at that point. And I don't mention de Blasio. They say, by the way, I'm not mentioning him, but what he has going for him is the most liberal base that could show up and can make a difference. So it's all a question of turnout. If he identifies his voters and turns them out, it could do something.
What was that first name you mentioned in that list of candidates?
Weiner or Quinn, Thompson?
Quinn?
Whichever
What
one
a
it was.
segue. Quick programming note. We're going to have our interview with City Council Speaker and mayoral candidate Christine Quinn next Tuesday. Dominic doing the RFL interview. You're going to want to tune in for that. But up next, Chris Christie hinting at his future plans. We're going to have that and more on the New York City mayoral race coming up next. Stay with us.